Welcome back everyone. So as you can see, the lacquer buildup is all done. If you were unaware of how things were going, I invite you to follow me on my social media, Instagram or Facebook at Hovington Instrument. Instagram's under Tommy Hovington. So I did 10 coats before I scuffed it up with 800 wet sandpaper, and then I applied 6 more coats. That buildup was building up very nicely. As you can see right now, there's still, I don't know if it picks it up really well, but even though it's shiny, there's still some kind of orange peel, and that's what we're going to be working on today with the wet sanding. First thing I want to do though is remove the tape here, and if I just peel the tape off, what happens is I'm going to break the bond between the tape and the lacquer, and then I'm going to end up with like probably breaks showing here on the side. So what I'm going to do is use that tool, and if you've been following my channel, you've seen that before. What I'll do is just loosen it a bit and add a little piece of sandpaper in here to be a bit less aggressive, and then I'll use that on the edges there to cut until I get to the same binding. So I'm going to remove the lacquer that's sitting on both sides, and then I'll be able to peel the tape off. So as you can see here, we have the lacquer line that's broken, and then every time that the lacquer was cutting off the top and going to grab the corner, it was meeting that transition that we just sanded down, and it stopped short of breaking the side. So the whole side here is intact, even though we can't really see it where the transition is. All the lacquer on top ends up meeting on the corner here, so the whole side will be lacquered, but the top section, when we scrape the leftover lacquer, will be removed, and then we're going to be able to condition the fretboard. You can see here a bit better the way it broke. So that's lacquer on the corner, and that's going to be removed. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we have some orange peel, and I'm going to use some 600 wet and dry sandpaper, and I'm going to scuff the high spots, and then I'm going to go over the 600 with 1200. So the final sanding will be all the way up to 1200, and then once everything is nice and even, we'll be able to polish it. So I'm going to show you how I go about that. So I just soak it in the water. So on this view right here, you can see, like on this side we don't really see it, but as you get towards where I just sanded, you can totally see where the high spots were and the low spots, and those are the ones we want to get rid of. So even here, like you can see, so I need to sand all the way down there. Right now my lacquer, and that's the reason why put 16 thin coats. By adding so many coats, I build up a layer, and I've got enough to go all the way down when I sand to those sections. When I sanded the first time, I just really knocked off all the very high spots, but I left those lower spots just to make sure I was not going to go through on the after 10 coats. It's not as thick, but you can see here. So I still have a bit of work to do, so I'm going to sand that until every part of the mandolin, or sorry, the mandola is like that here. So I want to get rid of all those little ones. So I just finished with the 600. Now we're gonna go all over the instrument again. Now this time it's gonna be to remove the scratch, not the orange peel, because I've got 600 sandpaper scratch on the lacquer, and I'm gonna redo the whole instrument with 1200. So we'll start on that now. Okay, so the 1200 is all done. So I can start doing the Meguiar's. It's a dual action cleaner polish. The cut is half, like it's 6 on the 0 to 10 scale. So I'm going to start with that. So what I'll do is just apply a bit. Whoops. There was. So it happens. Okay, so that's more like just a bit. Then I'll rub that in. Going everywhere. So as you can see, it polished really well. Looks great. Some of you might wonder why I don't use an electric polisher. Like I do have a 7-inch one. The reason is like when you get around the scroll, inevitably you need to get back to hand polishing because you're going to burn through your lacquer and you don't want to do that. Off camera I did use it a bit to kind of high gloss the back and front, but the rest of the instrument was hand polished, so like it doesn't give anything to kind of just show like that little section here or the back here, just to help with the hand rub. The next step is to, because like the polishing is done, so the next step will be to final adjust the bridge here, because I do have a tiny gap that is under, and I don't really like that. I also want to clean up the whole fretboard, remove all the excess lacquer that's all around, reinstall the nut, and then tailpiece, put the strings back on, and then final adjustments, and this thing is done. So make sure you click that bell so you don't miss the last video. I'm really grateful that you guys are following along with this build. That means a lot to me. Like and share the video, and until next time, I wish you well.